Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. In their return to Mackey, the Boilermakers got to take on a struggling Eastern Illinois Panthers team, and it went about like anyone would expect. And that meant a lot of buckets to go around. But without further ado, let's run it. Coming off of Thanksgiving dinner with our families, we got treated to a Black Friday early afternoon bucket fest, despite a slow start from the Boilermakers. Similarly to the Texas Tech game, this game wasn't in any doubt by the time we hit halftime, and they never looked back. By the time it was all said and done, Purdue finished off Feast Week with a resounding 47-point victory, 109 to 62. It really wasn't a pretty game to start, going back and forth way too much over the first 10 to 12 minutes of the first half before once again we finally woke up. I was never truly worried, but I definitely was frustrated with 8 turnovers in the first 10 minutes for a team that averages under 10 turnovers per game. We flipped the script soon after, though, with a bit of momentum starting with some stops and scores, including a couple of Panther turnovers to start extending our lead. Starting at the 8:45 minute mark of the first half and a score of 23 to 21 Boilers, it took just 5 minutes for Purdue to explode out into a 15-point lead with a score of 41 to 26. Were they done there? Absolutely not. The terror continued until the buzzer of the first half finally sounded, and by then the Boilermakers had put up a season-high 53 first-half points, going into the break up 53 to 28. That first half ended on a 23 to 5 run over the final 7 minutes of the half. As one might suspect, more of the same to start the second half, with Purdue taking off and running with an early 11 to 4 run. It just looked like Eastern Illinois lost the head of steam they had coming into the game, with the law of averages bringing them back to the offensive snooze fest that they typically are, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Purdue just kept digging, three after three, lob after lob, until you just started to feel a bit bad. A Jack Benter layup put the lead officially over 50 points at the 8:30 mark, and the Boilers had already reached 100 with over 4 minutes left to play. We probably could have hit 120 maybe, but we had to make sure to let our bench boys get some playing time with Aaron Fine, Jack Lusk, and Jace Rail all getting around 5 minutes of playing time. That was more than enough to keep the lead at a truly dominant number, as this one would wrap up with the final score of Purdue 109, Eastern Illinois 62. Heading into the top performers, we're led off with Daniel Jacobson, who put up a career game in his only, eighth or ninth career game, scoring 24 points on a perfect 8 of 8 field goals, adding on 9 rebounds and assists, 6 blocks, and just 1 turnover. Behind him was Fletcher Lawyer, who scored 15 points on a perfect 4 for 4, all from 3, tacking on 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. For Eastern Illinois, they start off with Michi White, who led the way with 23 points on a very efficient 8 of 10 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line, adding on 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, but 3 turnovers. And behind him is Terry McMorris, who had 13 points on 6 of 9 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, and 1 for 3 from the free throw line, with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers. The honorable mentions goes to TKR for Purdue. He ended up with 14 on, once again, very efficient, 7 of 10 shooting, adding on 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, but 3 turnovers. And for Eastern Illinois, it's Preston Turner with 11 points on 4 of 7 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3, with 2 assists, but 4 turnovers. Heading into the key team points for Eastern Illinois, it's their offense, or lack thereof, I guess I should say. It's tough to be a college basketball team that doesn't score the ball well. Unfortunately, the Panthers are one of the 15 worst offenses in college basketball, being ranked a striking 352nd out of 365 in KenPom on offensive efficiency. Despite their hot start and hanging with Purdue early, they did stumble right back to their average, where they sit at about 60 points per game. So hey, they got 2 more than their average. They just need to figure out more ways to get other guys involved. They have 4 players who average double figures, but the scoring tapers off fast after that. They've got to change up something on the offensive end because they won't win many games this year with their current state of their shooting and scoring in general. Secondly, it's their rebounding. They're not a horrible rebounding team in general, but they certainly struggled in this one. They lost the rebounding battle 37 to 17 while giving up 11 offensive rebounds to Purdue. They just got overwhelmed with Purdue's size and strength, and this Purdue team can actually be considered a good rebounding team. So it's not too crazy that it ended up this way. Just something that they would have liked to see end up a little bit closer that would have helped them keep this game at a more respectable score. And lastly, it's their turnovers. Their turnovers were all Purdue to start, and that's what kept this game pretty close for those first 10, 12 minutes. But as the game went on, Purdue definitely started to fluster them more and more, and that only aided some of the significant scoring runs that they poured on the Panthers. Only one turnover in the first 10 minutes of the game turned into 17 total as a team by the end of it, and the score directly reflected their ability to hold onto the ball and at least get a shot off on the offensive end. Unfortunately, this is also something that isn't unusual for them. They average a whopping 14 turnovers per game, which is definitely reflected in their offensive struggles. Overall, plenty to work on the offensive side of the ball for them. But heading over to Purdue, it starts off with their sluggish starts. Purdue once again did not get off to a great start in this game and still ended up putting up 109 points, which is great, but we're starting to see a bit of a pattern, especially with this happening in back-to-back games. Just like the Baja Mar Championship, the Boilers just look sluggish and not really put together in the first 10 minutes of the game before absolutely slingshotting through the rest of the first half to put up an impressive number of points by halftime. But one of these games against a really good opponent, they may not go on a 20-0 run or something crazy like that, and they could end up in serious trouble. If I'm Painter and the staff, I'm looking for ways to motivate or really switch up maybe the mindset of some of these guys so they can come into the opening tip with some fire and get out to an early lead rather than toying with some of these teams to start off. And secondly, it's Daniel Jacobson. Jacobson has been doing a whole lot of good lately after a bit of an iffy start to the year, especially with his physicality. That was always my biggest gripe. Well, in this game, he officially set a Purdue basketball record of 19 straight field goal makes across the last four games, going 8 for 8 in this one and leading the way for Purdue with 24 points, also a career high for him. I mentioned earlier he added on 9 rebounds, but more importantly, all 6 of Purdue's blocks. With Clough really coming on, all we need is some more of this form from Jacobson against better opponents, and we could have a seriously dominant 40-minute combined stat line between Clough and Jacobson at the center position. I can only hope that he continues to get better and better as this season goes on. And finally, it's Braden's scoring. This is definitely not something to be worried about, but it is definitely something I'm taking notice of after 3 straight games of 5, 10, and 5 points since the start of the Baja Mar Championship. He just hasn't looked really in rhythm other than the Oakland and Alabama games, but I trust that he'll be able to settle in and find, his go-to shots a little bit more. This was just another one of those easy non-conference games that just didn't require him to shoot very much. He only went 2 for 4, so you can't really complain about 50% shooting, but he did play 23 minutes, and I would just like to see him start to get in the rhythm more in these games, especially early. I want to get him his assist record as much as anybody else, but I know when these games count the most, we're going to need him to be a scoring threat like he was against Alabama, and I hope that he can step up when those games come. As we head into December, Purdue will get a taste of Big Ten play, traveling to a struggling Rutgers team on Tuesday with the 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off in the RAC on FS1. They may be struggling a bit to start the season, but no Big Ten team should ever be underestimated, especially on the road. But that's all I've got for today. Always great to keep up the momentum and get a blowout win, but plenty more challenging games to come in the month of December. Keep an eye out for more recaps, and as always, I appreciate all the support on the videos. But if you want more from us, like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm out.